Abraham was a man of faith and love for God. Although many years had passed and he had no children, Abraham never stopped trusting in the promise made by the Lord. He knew that God never lies and that all things come true at the right time. One day, God spoke to him again and said, "Abraham, do not be afraid. I am your shield and your very great reward." Then Abraham, with a sincere heart, answered him, "Lord, what will you give me, since I have no child and am already old?" God promised him again that he would have a son, even though it seemed impossible. And indeed, when Abraham was 100 years old and his wife Sarah was 90, God performed a miracle. A son was born to them, just as he had said, and they named him Isaac according to the commandment of the Lord. How much joy there was in their home! Abraham and Sarah loved Isaac very much. They considered him the greatest gift they had received from God. Isaac grew up beautiful and was a good child, obedient and loving God, just like his father. But one day, God wanted to test Abraham, to see how much he loved him and how much he trusted him. So he said to him, "Abraham, take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. There, on a mountain that I will show you, offer him as a sacrifice to me." Abraham's heart was filled with pain. How could he sacrifice Isaac, his beloved son, whom he had waited for so long? But even though he did not understand why God was asking him to do this, Abraham decided to obey. He knew that the Lord always has a plan, and that no matter how hard it was, he had to remain faithful to him. So he got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, took 2 servants and his son Isaac, chopped wood for the sacrifice, and together they set off on their journey. They walked for 3 days. On the third day, they came close to the mountain God had shown them. Then Abraham told the servants to stay there with the donkey, and he and Isaac went up the mountain alone. Isaac, the boy, carried the wood on his back, and Abraham carried the fire and the knife. On the way, Isaac innocently asked him, "Father, here is the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the sacrifice?" Then Abraham answered him with faith, "Son, God himself will take care of the lamb for the sacrifice." They arrived at the top of the mountain. Abraham built an altar, arranged the wood, and then, with a heavy heart, bound Isaac and laid him on the altar. He raised his knife, ready to sacrifice him, just as God had commanded him. But at that very moment, a loud voice came from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." Abraham stopped immediately and answered, "Here I am." Then the voice said to him, "Do nothing to the boy. Now I know that you fear God and that you love him more than anything, even more than your own son." What a relief! Tears streamed down his cheeks, but this time they were tears of joy. Abraham understood that God was only testing him, to test his faith. When Abraham looked around, he saw a ram caught by its horns in a bush. He quickly took it and offered it as a sacrifice instead of his son. Then he worshipped the Lord and thanked him with all his heart. Abraham named that mountain, "The Lord will provide," because God had indeed provided. Isaac was saved, and Abraham's faith was rewarded. Through this story, God teaches us how important it is to trust him, even when we don't understand why certain things happen. Abraham went through a very difficult test, but because he remained faithful, God blessed him even more. God doesn't want people to suffer, but he wants us to entrust our lives to him and trust in his love. The story of Abraham and Isaac shows us what obedience, faith, and true love for God mean.